My dear brothers and sisters, welcome to this live stream. Welcome for those who are watching me in camera one, that is the world of our own. Welcome to these streams. For those who are watching me in camera two, that is the chariots of fire. Welcome. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. I'm very happy this morning to welcome you to these streams. And first of all, even before we start, I want to send my sincere condolence to all the families that lost their loved ones in Utumishi Academy. We are, we are with you in prayers. And having said that, I also want to just say one thing, that kindly, this is a very sensitive issue. This is not an issue of politics. Kindly, for the love of our country, for the love of God, for the love of God, kindly, use restraint when you're talking about those issues. And if you're new to this channel, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to subscribe and comment. Welcome to both of my channels. And I'm very, very happy to welcome you. And I was watching news, and one thing that came out very clearly is, of course, in every story, they will always want to blame somebody, They want to blame somebody. And I was like, no, that is not the right direction to go. As a country, of course, cumulatively or collectively, we are mourning, the loss. Welcome to my channel. We are mourning the loss of those children, those innocent souls. This is kindly, my dear brothers and sisters, this is not the time to politicize this issue. Welcome to all my channels. We are live in World of Our Own, Camera One. We are live also in the Chariots of Fire. And, this is kindly for those who have been watching the news and have been hearing the different arguments, like, this, it was an accident. It was an accident, and nobody wanted it to happen. Kindly do not curse, don't accuse anyone falsely. Still, let our officers do their job. Let them do, the investigations, and we'll get all the answers that we need. All right. So kindly, for the sake of peace, let us use restraint. This is not the time of, politics. Sometimes, I've been listening to so many different arguments, and I was just surprised because we want to get politics, we want to find an excuse. Kindly, this is not the time for that. And just for the sake of peace, sometimes you do things sometimes for the sake of peace. Let us continue reading. At least I've said that. Let us remember them in our prayers, all right? They're going through a very tough time. Any questions up to there? Feel free to subscribe to all my channels. That is, the World of Our Own in Camera 1 and Camera 2. That is the Chariots of Fire. Let us continue. Any questions up to there? Any questions? Any questions up to there? You can ask me your questions. We'll continue reading. Any questions? All right. Any questions? If you have any questions, you can ask me. Feel free to ask me questions as we continue to read the word. in Jeremiah chapter 8, and we'll continue from there. At that time, declares the Lord, the bones of the kings and officials of Judah, the bones of the priests and prophets, and the bones of the people of Jerusalem will be removed from their graves. Any questions up to there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. They will be exposed to the sun and the moon and all the stars of the heavens, which they have loved and served, and which they have followed and consulted and worshipped. They will not be gathered up or buried, but will be like dung lying on the ground. Any questions up to there? Feel free to be part and parcel of our streams. It's exactly 3 a.m. Kenyan time, and it's always good to be up this early. Sometimes you never know, I always tell people that as from 3 a.m., it's always good to wake up early, I have my own reasons why I'm telling you that. Just be awake at 3. One day you'll understand me, but not today. But you must be awake, at exactly 3. You know why? Do you want me to explain to you? You see, at 3, unfortunately, for those who have, who are sensitive, it's a window, of so many things. Unfortunately, bad things happen at exactly 3 at night. So that is why I'm always awake at 3. 3 is dangerous. It's a masaa mbaya. Inaitwanga masaa mbaya. But don't worry. That's why I'm here. If you have any questions, you can ask me. But we'll continue reading the word for 1 hour, 3 to 4, even 4 to 5. All that window is a very. I read somewhere that it's a window in the spiritual world. It's a window. That the window is open now for good things or bad things. It's funny. I read that somewhere, that exactly 3. And I also read somewhere that there are dates that have a very spiritual, they're heavy spiritually. That is like April 22nd. I don't know whether that is true. I don't know, but I was told that there are some dates that you must be very careful. I'm not superstitious, but you can call it superstition. It's allowed, but I've just said that at that time, as from 3 up to 2, 3, 4. That's a very you need to be alert. If you're sleeping, just sleep with one eye open. You sleep with one eye open. Don't sleep as if you're pregnant. Don't sleep a lot. At that time, it's a very dangerous time. Let us continue reading. They will not be gathered up or buried, but will be like dung lying on the ground. Wherever I banish them, all the survivors of this evil nation will prefer death to life, declares the Lord Almighty. Say to them, this is what the Lord says. When people fall down, do they not get up? Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Where are you watching me from? Feel free to be part and parcel of our streams. Did you subscribe? Kindly subscribe to the channel and let us read the word. At least for this 1 hour, let us read the word. When someone turns away, do they not return? Why then have these people turned away? Why does Jerusalem always turn away? I was before I even continue, I want to say something that really touched me. I was watching how the parents were reacting. There was this one man who removed his shirt and he could not be consoled. I really felt for that I really felt for those families. You know, that man could not be consoled. He was unconsolable. Well, let me tell you something. You know, and I think it's about time that we should end this issue of boarding schools in Kenya once and for all. You know, children should go to their parents. They should not sleep in school, because you know the issues of because I'm sure this case, what happened in Utumishi, will just will boil down to negligence. It will boil down to negligence. But I'm saying, you know, where was the watchman? Where were they? What were they doing? And when the fire started, you know, who was awake? Who was not awake? Who was doing his job? Who was not doing his job? You know, okay, it's a bit too late for that, but I know exactly, that is exactly that. You know, in every story, they will always try to find the scapegoat. But this is not the time for that. You know, honestly, this is not the time for that. This is not the time. Anyway, let's continue reading. And feel free to subscribe and comment. We are live in, you know, camera 1, that is the world of our own, and in camera 2 is the chariots of fire. Any questions up to there, feel free to be part and parcel of our streams. And do you agree with Kenya, you know, having a quarantine for Ebola? Do you agree with that? If you agree, you can also post your comments for me to read. I know so many people are asking that question. Is it even legal for one country to host, you know, people from another country who are sick? Is it even legal? That is that a health issue, or is it a constitutional issue? Because I know some people have gone to court, you know, because you see, article, you know, we are a sovereign nation, and you know the meaning of sovereignty. We are a sovereign nation, and that decision, even those in high office should remember that Kenya, there's something called sovereignty. Sovereignty. You know the meaning of sovereignty? I cannot go to my neighbor and dictate what they should cook for breakfast. All right? I cannot go to my neighbor and start dictating, you know, start changing the channel. You know, I cannot do that personally. So that is the same concept, the issue of sovereignty, whether we have bilateral agreements, whether we have concessions, whether we have trade agreements, but trade agreements got nothing to do with Ebola. All right? Trade agreements, yes, we can have bilateral agreements, we can have concessions, but Ebola was not part of the deal. Are we together? Ebola is not part of the deal. So whether we are, you know, whether, and I beg to be politically wrong. On this one, I'll be politically wrong. I support His Excellency, the President of the US. I have always supported him, but on Ebola, you know, we cannot be importing a disease. You know, once Ebola comes to Kenya, it will ravage this country. Once Ebola comes here, it will be a disaster for us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, but I'm just a very insignificant, but I cannot say I'm not in government, but I also have my own independent opinion, and this opinion is purely mine. You know, as a country, you know, I don't think one country should every country should, you know, every man to his tent. Let me say that. Every man to his tent. As much as, yes, we are, because Uganda is supposed to sort its own issues. Tanzania is supposed to sort its own issues with regards to Ebola. But you see, it is very, very, it's unconstitutional. And in fact, I'm very happy that somebody went to court to seek an injunction to stop that from happening. Because sometimes, in the course of events, somebody can be given, welcome to the Chariots of Fire, somebody can be given money, because of course, Kenyans are not new to that. We remember that sometimes they're called middlemen or brokers. Somebody can be an Ebola broker. Right now, Kenyans are looking for money, and in every crisis, there's always somebody who's, cashing in. So I'm sure right now because since Ebola, there was the outbreak of Ebola. I'm sure there are few Ebola brokers. Let me call them Ebola brokers. There are a few brokers here and there. Yes, we can bring those people here in Kenya as long as you give us money. And that is, you see, I'm a Kenyan, and I understand how Kenyans think. They don't look at, they don't look at the long-term damage of Ebola, or the cost that it will. They don't look at the public interest. You see, in this issue of Ebola, most of these guys who are for the time being, I'll call them Ebola brokers. These Ebola brokers, most of them are, looking at things in the short term. They want to cash in, smuggle those guys into the country so that they can be paid. I'm sure, this is Kenya, and everybody is looking for, money, and it's understandable that, sometimes, if you look at people, if you look at issues the way a Kenyan looks at issues, Kenyans are very opportunistic, and everything is business. Unfortunately, sometimes we take it a notch higher. Sometimes, we take it that somebody wants to cash in on Ebola. You can imagine. I'm sure there are people who are cashing in on Ebola, which is very unfortunate. And let me tell you something. Whenever there is a crisis in a country, whenever something is happening, there's somebody somewhere cashing in. There's somebody cashing in. And I don't know who, but I hope that they will not, jeopardize everybody because of, money. But that's I don't know, but let's continue reading. Any questions up to there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. And, this week, yesterday I was not here. And I want to talk something very about this young man who's called Kidero Jasoba. And some people were asking, just by the way, so don't worry, we'll continue reading. He was taken to court because of, inflammatory statements. Or let me put it this way, sedition. It is called seditious statements, sedition. That is thinking. I remember, let me give you a very, very funny story. If you love history, Kenyan history, in 1975, there were three men. There was called Change the Constitution Movement. That was Kihika Kimani, a man called Njenga Karume, and another man called Samuel Mbugua Gidere. I used to love history. It was my favorite subject. And I don't know why, but I love reading history. I read history for fun. So, that time, Jomo Kenyatta was becoming old. And this Kikuyu mafia, let me call them Kikuyu mafia, came with, and they wanted to change the constitution to make sure that, because they knew that in the event Kenyatta died, it would mean that Moi would automatically ascend to become the president. So they said, and this is the funniest part. I love this story, and I'll tell you a trick that Charles Njonjo Mugane, how he was able to corner them, and I will tell you what he did. So they started moving around the country, telling people to change the constitution. Now they said that whatever the argument was, in the event a president dies, the deputy president or the vice president should not ascend automatically to become president. Exactly. So, that time Charles Njonjo was the Attorney General at that time. He came and said, thinking, and this is the sweet part, he said, thinking or contemplating the death of a sitting president is seditious and high treason. These guys, and that is the funniest part of the story, is that, when he said, Charles Njonjo, was a student from the University of London. So he had, he was very, very, people used to call him Uncle Ruckus. And he was a master, he was a, let me put it this way. He had a gift. He was very crafty with words. So these guys, they were Kikuyus and are not, and for the Kikuyus who are listening, this is not any tribal, no. Since they were, most of them did not have that, did not understand what he said, because you can hear it was Njenga Karume, it was Kiika Kimani, and it was Mbugua Githere, Samuel Mbugua Githere. And I think this Mbugua Githere was the father of Simon Mbugua, I think the former MP of Kamukunji. So I think, but I'm not sure. But this man called Samuel Mbugua Githere. So, because they were Kikuyus and they did not understand the meaning of sedition and high treason, they went around quickly looking for people who understood the meaning of the words. And they were told that the meaning of sedition is it was an offense. They would die. And they quickly went to Kabarak in Nakuru, and they begged Moi. They told Moi, please, don't kill us. We are just businessmen. And that was very, very, and that's whole debate about Kenyatta. It died as a natural death. Because sedition. Now let's come back to the word sedition, because this man Kidero Jasuba is accused of uttering seditious words, and I really, sometimes I was listening to him, and he said, and this is what he said. He said, if I was in a room with William Ruto, I would not let him live. That is just direct translation from Kiswahili. I would do my thing. That is, I'm just speaking. I've just diluted it because I wouldn't want them to accuse me also. But that is just if you ask me. I think if I was Babu Owino, because I saw it was Babu Owino who was representing him in court, he can argue that he is mad. He can argue that he has a problem. He can argue that he has a problem, a mental state. I think you cannot be prosecuted if you are a madman. So if I were that is just an idea. If I were Kidero or Jasuba, I would argue and say that sometimes I have, sometimes my brain, in Kiswahili, you say, my brain jumps. It jumps from out of my head. Yes, and I would say that sometimes I'm just crazy. I'm crazy. And if you say that, maybe you will escape, because the state of mind also, you have to be, they have to evaluate you. And you can say that I say that maybe sometimes am a madman. Yes, and he would escape that. But also, looking at it from another angle or from another perspective, uh, the president should know, should understand that, should understand, and I'm appealing to the president and to those in leadership positions in our country. As much as you are living good, as much as you are living large, always your put your ear on the ground and your eyes on the ground, because sometimes those are pockets of hatred. Those are pockets, small pockets of hatred, which can be diffused before we go to elections. But right now, as we speak, you saw a lady was burned with hot beans, hot beans, maharagwe, in Kibra, in Gatwekera, just because she said William Ruto is going for 2 terms, and that is, those are the ones that are recorded cases. What about the ones that are not recorded? How many people have suffered the wrath of Kenyans just by saying 2 term? Just by saying 2 term, or saying, uh, you know, uh, we are going for 2 terms. Ama KBB, Kumi Bila Break. It tells you that on the ground, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to bring about cohesion, to bring about peace, and we should not allow this thing to go overboard. Sometimes I was listening to another man. He said that if you are a Jaluo and in this issue of those parents that lost their children in Utumishi, said, if you are a Jaluo, I am sorry. If you are Kikuyu, he said something that I could not even say here. So you realize that if we should not let try our tribe or tribal politics to get the best of us, because as a country we are a very wonderful country, but we have allowed politics and ethnicity to take advantage. We are being taken over by ethnicity, and that is very, very sad. So kindly let us monitor the kind of utterances that we are making. And that is not, in fact, and I want to say it here, it is not the government is not supposed to monitor me, of which, okay, they are monitoring, but I'm not supposed to be monitored the kind of utterances I'm making. I'm supposed to monitor myself. And also I'm appealing to other people to also check, put yourself uh, put yourself in check. Sometimes you should not be fueled by hatred. All right. At most times, try to be a conscientious individual. All right. Let us continue reading, and I'll be here for 1 hour. Any questions after that, you can ask me your questions. And welcome to Camera One. That is, let me tell you something. And I want to be very honest, because when it comes to problems, when it comes to lack, when it comes to hunger, when it comes to disease, when it comes to disaster. Disaster will not ask you where you come from. Disaster will strike. When you get a disease will not ask you, okay, I am, hello. A disease will come and tell you, hello, I am tuberculosis. Where do you come from? I attack people from um, from Muranga, or from, tuberculosis will not ask you where you come from, and maybe another disease like, a disease will not come and start vetting you whether you qualify, or poverty will not come to vet you, or maybe lack will not come to vet you. So let us, or your skin tone, or your skin color, or your religion. These are problems that are facing everybody. So if we look at it from that perspective, that we are in it, nobody is escaping the matrix. We should start looking at things from that kind of perspective, instead of saying, oh, this disease should affect them. No, no, no. Or poverty, or lacking food, or lacking money. When lack comes, it will not ask you where you come from. All right. Or maybe an accident. All right. There's any questions up to there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. Unfortunately, we are hiding. We are hiding under, politics. I saw those parents crying in Utumishi, and I couldn't even differentiate. They were all sad. They were all sad. They have lost their children. They're all sad. That is the reality of the matter. So for those leaders who want to divide us based on ethnicity, I don't think you're getting it easy. All right. We have a beautiful country, and let us build our country instead of. Any question? Let's continue reading. I just digressed a little bit, but sometimes I always tell people that it's always good to introduce the reality of what is happening around us, and also we'll be reading and we're talking, right? So when someone turns away, do they not return? Why then have these people turned away? Why does Jerusalem always turn away? They cling to deceit, they refuse to return. I've listened attentively, but they do not say what is right. None of them repent of their wickedness, saying, what have I done? And when I was reading, the book of Jeremiah, and when I was just last week when I was reading the book of Isaiah, when judgment came, judgment was cumulative. It was collective. Nobody was exempt from the judgment. This judgment that was being passed, it was judgment against Israel. Whether for those who are equally guilty, those who are not, those who are friendly, those who are not. When Nebuchadnezzar came, when disaster came, everyone was affected. Nobody was exempt. The good ones, the bad ones, the big fish, the small fish, the fat fish, the thin fish, they were all fried unapologetically. Let us continue. I've listened attentively, but they do not say what is right. None of them repent of their wickedness, saying, what have I done? Each pursues their own cause like a horse charging into battle. Even the stork in the sky knows her appointed seasons, and the dove, the swift, and the thrush observe the time of their migration. But my people do not know the requirements of the Lord. How can you say we are wise, for we have the law of the Lord, when actually the lying pen of the scribes has handled it falsely? We're reading from Jeremiah 8. The wise will be put to shame, they will be dismayed and trapped, since they have rejected the word of the Lord. What kind of wisdom do they have? Now, they were told that even the wise men at that time, when Nebuchadnezzar comes with his, when he surrounds, one of the things that has never been, that picture has never been, painted to people, because I don't think people really, I don't think there's anyone who has really painted the true picture of what Nebuchadnezzar did. When he came, he surrounded the city and he blocked all the escape routes, and he starved the entire Jerusalem, to death. It was a very serious. You can imagine, Nebuchadnezzar. Nobody escaped. It was a state capture. Nobody escaped, and those who tried to escape, like the king at that time was called Joachim. Joachim tried to escape, and he was caught. And also at the second time, the other king called Zedekiah also tried to escape. So there was no escapism. They were all starved. Everybody was starved. You can imagine. At that time, it was disaster. Even the wise, the foolish, the rich, the poor, money was useless at that time. There was no trade. The army, everybody, as long as they were inside the walls of Jerusalem, and those walls were very thick. The walls of that were the walls that were built were very, very thick. Even a chariot could pass through, even 2 chariots or 4. It's a very thick wall, but nobody escaped. You can imagine, for 2 years. So everybody was, faced the wrath of Nebuchadnezzar. Any questions after that? Feel free to subscribe and comment. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and tell me where you're watching me from. We are live in all the channels. That is here, both the Chariots of Fire and the World of Our Own. We're all live, and I'll be here until one of the things that I really want us to have is to have a mastery of the word. I wouldn't want us. It's not a one-hit wonder. It's not a one-hit wonder. I wouldn't want us to be very good this year and then next day it's like we are like mangoes. Mangoes. I saw this. I've always seen it. Like, somebody comes, they bamboozle you with their talent, and then next week they don't have what they have. It seems that what they have, I don't know where it went. I wouldn't want us to be like those people. I want us, whatever we have, no matter how small we have, let us maintain what we have and build on what we have. All right. I always tell people, there is no big money. Say, he's doing it because he has big money. No. There's nothing like big money. Let me tell you the truth. There's nothing like big money. There's nothing. It is that 100 shillings. It is that 100 shillings that you use. I'm not saying that it is this 100 shillings. There's nothing like big money. Some people say, I'm waiting to start my project once I get the big money. No, there's nothing like big money. And there's nothing like small money. It's what you use with whatever you have. It is what we aggregate today and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. That small, whatever small we have. Now, there's, people, unfortunately, and I've seen it, why there is a lot of stagnation, and I've also done my research why there's a lot of stagnation is because people don't really value the small things that they have. You know, that 100 and that 200, you know, is what we will buy cement. Oh, you see, yes, that is how you're going to build your house. You see, right now in Kenya, a lorry of a lorry of sand is 22,000 shillings. All right. A lorry, sorry, it's 12,000 shillings. A lorry of bricks is around 22,000, and cement is around 800 shillings, and labor is around 1,000 shillings. So it is not, sometimes, people say, oh, I'm waiting for that day, I'm going to do things in a huge way. There's nothing like that. It's those small gains that we make every day. Small gains. As long as we are moving forward, those small gains are what matters. It is when you compound those small gains that is what will now become big. All right. Yes, even the word of God says, be careful of the little foxes. The little foxes that destroy the vineyard. That is found in the Songs of Songs. What is the author talking about? Because even destruction will not come in a big way. Those you know, small mistakes that people make, those small cracks, maybe in the small leakages, if you aggregate them in a long period of time, that is when you'll say that, we are doing bad. And also at the same time, even conversely speaking, people want, they want a big win, but I don't think that is a fallacy. That is, something that is not, it's not true. It's those small gains that you make today and you make tomorrow, and you just maintain that speed no matter how slow it is, and that is how we are going to aggregate those small gains. And at the end of the year you'll say, oh, we've constructed the entire building, we've constructed this project, it is finished. And people will ask you, and how did you do it? I said, it was just small sacrifices here and there, small that 1 hour instead of that is how people change. But you see, when you say that, oh, eh, eh, we're going to change all of a sudden. No, I don't think so. People make small changes. Instead of, it's like you're trying to make change when it comes to what you're eating. It's small changes. Instead of buying a cake, why don't I buy an apple? Small changes that will start reflecting in your lifestyle in the long term. For example, instead of drinking beer, why don't I buy a bottle of water? And you'll start seeing changes even in your health, even in your appearance. Start seeing changes. All right. But you see, you cannot say, oh, I'm going to change, I'll go for somebody, this person will pray for me, and all of a sudden I'll get this change. That is not true. It's those small changes, small sacrifices will go a very long way. Any questions up there? Feel free to subscribe and comment. The wise will be put to shame, they will be dismayed and trapped, since they have rejected the word of the Lord. What kind of wisdom do they have? Therefore I'll give their wives to other men, and their fields to new owners. From the least to the greatest, all are greedy for gain. prophets and priests alike all practice deceit. Any questions up there? Welcome to this channel. I am very happy to be here. Tell me where you're watching me from. Do you enjoy our channels? Do you enjoy our channels? Because there was a plot to kill Ivanka Trump. Wow. It is in today's, today's newspaper. There was a plot to eliminate the daughter of the Donalds. Any questions up there? Any questions up there? Do you enjoy our streams? And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Any questions? You can ask me your questions while we're here. Do you enjoy our streams? I know you're enjoying our streams. So let us continue reading. Welcome to Camera 1. That is World of Our Own. Welcome to Camera 2. That is the Chariots of Fire. Where are you watching me from? Kindly tell me where you're watching me from. And, today is the 29th of May, 2026. And tomorrow, for the fans of Arsenal, you have been dancing and dancing and dancing. Tomorrow, I'm sure it is the last. I'm very happy because tomorrow is your last day of dancing. Arsenal fans have not been giving us peace. They have been dancing in our streets the whole week. I think it was only in Kenya, for your information. And this is on a lighter note. And I always say, if there's people I don't like, the Arsenal fans. Arsenal fans are really, this week they have really showed us, their true character. They have been celebrating in our streets in Africa. I don't even think they were celebrating that much in London. But here in Kenya, they took our streets and they were celebrating. They were having DJs. How can you have a DJ and you're celebrating, a title win? Come on, guys. They never gave us peace. But I'm very happy because tomorrow, that is the 30th of May, 2026, it will be the end of, and they know. I was telling people, I was telling people, when you see Arsenal fans celebrating like this, the whole week, even Arteta, they were throwing him in the air. They know the fantasy will not last. Let us continue because it's all going to end tomorrow. So tomorrow, Arsenal fans, come prepared because you're going to meet the best players in the world, starting with Dembele. You're going to meet Dembele tomorrow. You're going to meet Desire. You're going to meet a guy called Desire Doué tomorrow. And it will be a very fast game. You have been really enjoying. And that is why, in fact, ever since I was born, I have never seen Kenyans celebrating a win, Premier League win for 1 week. I have never seen. In fact, they were celebrating 1.5 weeks daily, going to the streets, celebrating. But I'm happy because tomorrow, you guys, your happiness, you have really, tomorrow, that man, your main man, Declan Rice, you have been really, talking about Declan Rice. Tomorrow you will disappear, not to be seen or heard from. Tomorrow Declan Rice will disappear. And I'm very happy because, these people, Arsenal fans, and the worst part is some of our leaders, they're all Arsenal fans. Starting from the top. They're all Arsenal fans, even the president. But I'm happy because tomorrow They say nothing will last forever. Yeah. The only thing that will last forever in Kenya is Somali perfume. Nothing is going to last forever. Tomorrow it's going to end tomorrow. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us continue reading, and feel free to subscribe and comment and tell me where you're watching me from. Therefore will give their wives to other men and their fields to new owners. From the least to the greatest, all are greedy for gain. Prophets and priests alike, all practice deceit. They dress the wound of my people as though it were not serious. Peace, peace, they say, when there is no peace. Are they ashamed of their detestable conduct? No, they have no shame at all. They do not even know how to blush. So they will fall among the fallen, and they will be brought down when they are punished. Any questions up to there? Feel free to subscribe and comment, and tell me where you're watching me from. Any questions up to there? It is exactly 3:54 Kenyan time. We have been reading, and I'm blessed this morning to read, and we'll be reading. Yesterday we didn't read, so today we're going to cover the read. Any questions? Any questions up to there? Any questions? Any questions? Let me drink some water. I'll be back. Any question? Hallelujah. Yes. Any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. And I'm very happy to be here. Any questions? Do you enjoy our streams? And if you do enjoy our streams, subscribe and comment. We'll be reading for 1 hour, then another hour. And there's nothing good like starting your day with reading the Word. Any questions up to there? Any questions up to there? Let us continue. Are they ashamed of their detestable conduct? No, they have no shame at all. They do not even know how to blush. So they will fall among the fallen, and they will be brought down when they are punished, says the Lord. I will take away the harvest, declares the Lord. There will be no grapes on the vine. There will be no figs on the tree, and their leaves will wither. What I have given them will be taken from them. Why are we sitting here gathered together? Any questions up to there? And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment, and tell me where you're watching me from. Do you enjoy our channels? If you do enjoy our channels, read with us. I know sometimes it's very, very, I know some people are bored, but don't worry. I want you to stay awake and read the Word. Any questions? Any questions up to there? Any questions? There's an energy crisis there's a food crisis, let us continue praying for our country. And I understand that, things are not easy. Everybody is hanging in there. I can assure you, things are not easy. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, when the night is dark, that is when you will see the stars. Any questions up to that? When the night is dark, when it's a dark time, that is when you will see the stars. Any questions up to that? Feel free to subscribe and feel free to comment. Any questions? Do you enjoy our streams? Yes. Any questions? Any questions? Let us continue reading, and feel free to be part and parcel of our streams. I was watching that parent, that man who removed his shirt, demanding to see his child. If he was told, he could give anything to get his child again. I was just watching the emotions, and let me tell you something. Let us not allow this to happen in our country again. Enough is enough. Last year, children from, it was Endarasha. It was Endarasha. I think it was called Endarasha Academy. Endarasha fire. It ravaged the school. That was 10 girls died yesterday night. So I think we need to just stop this once and for all. Once and for all. Maybe they should be taught how, in their curriculum, how to survive a disaster. Or maybe if there is a fire, maybe every school should employ a person to sit there at the dormitory, and not move. Maybe it should be a rule or a law. Maybe it should be a law that every school, should have a man who is permanently employed to sit there, like a patron or a matron, and not move and not sleep. I think we should change the laws and make it a law, and the Ministry of Education should enforce the law. Because you cannot say that all schools should be day scholars. Maybe we should change the law and make even create a dorm. How is it that a dorm like that one, children sleep, 100 in the dorm? No. Schools should invest. Because you see, these are broken dreams. Any questions up there? Welcome to Camera 2, and I'm very happy to be here. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Welcome, my dear brothers and sisters. Welcome to all my channels. And tell me where you're watching me from. Any questions up there? I'll be here. Any questions? Do you enjoy our streams? Any questions? Just crossed our 1 hour mark. Tell me where you're watching me from. Do you enjoy our stream? Any questions up there? Any questions? Do you enjoy our streams? Any questions? Any questions up there? Any questions? Any questions up there? I'm very happy to be here, and but I think one of the things that one of the things that I really tell the leaders now is that this talk that I must win in 2027, it's not a must. Sometimes you can also lose. Don't say I must win in 2027. No. That kind of rhetoric is the reason why it's a fuel for what? For violence, because of course you have already told us that you're going to reject the results. All right. So we have crossed our 1 hour mark, and tell me where you're watching me from. Do you enjoy our channel? Any questions? Just about to start another stream. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions out there? Any questions? Do you enjoy our streams? Welcome. Just about to leave. All right, we're going to start another stream. Arrivederci. Yeah.